Hey folks, I'm Ilya from TWRAPS, and today I'll be wrapping a Rivian R1T in car paint protection film. Now, a disclaimer before I begin, this is not our R1T. We own an R1S, and for every other vehicle that we've made a custom wrap for, we would buy the vehicle because it takes a long time. But as I said, we own R1S, and I asked the good folks in the Rivian community if someone would lend us an R1T for several weeks so I can just develop the patterns that are different between the R1S and T. And little do you know, and as awesome as the Rivian community is, someone did lend us their R1T. So huge thanks to Carlos, who drove all the way from Arizona to Northern California and let me use his R1T for 3 weeks so I can develop the pattern, install it, and show it to you how to do the same. So first, let's open the box. The PPF is inside. By the way, it's important to note that you need to clean your vehicle before the installation, and we'll be cleaning it as we go, but I still recommend pressure car wash. I use gas station car wash for this kind of thing. Don't use any additives that include wax, ceramic, or anything like that, as the film will not stick too well to those, so you might have problems. So the film comes on a roll like this, and it's made out of multiple sheets so that you can handle each sheet more easily as opposed to one huge thing. And the first one is the hood. You would also benefit having some large foldable tables like the ones I use. These are 30 inches by 96 inches, two tables stacked next to each other from Home Depot, because you need clean surface to work with the film. And just to clarify something, this is obviously the hood. This is just extra. You see throughout the sheets, you see these extras that we just provide for patching, or if you want to wrap your phone in it or whatever. So this is just film that we could have just thrown away, but we decided to keep it for you in case you want to do something with it. But if it doesn't seem to match any panel, it probably doesn't match any panel. So just to clarify this mystery. The next thing I wanted to mention is what tools I'll be using throughout the installation. So I have my TAC solution bottle. It's an electric sprayer, and the TAC solution is just clean water. This is my slip solution, which is water mixed with clear soap, colorless soap, in about 1 to 15 ratio. Then the main tool I will be using is this. It's a rubber squeegee. I also have a plastic squeegee, which I might need around some edges. I have what I call the yellow H2, which I'll use to tuck in the PPF in the fenders and other areas I'll show you. But what is specific about the way we do our wraps, given that we developed them from scratch, is that we make them in a way that you don't need to disassemble anything, but you still want to tuck it in some places to have this shop looking feel, and this is the tool I'll be using. I have some 3M94 primers in case something is not sticking around edges. I have my heat gun, utility knife just in case. I don't know if we'll need it. Generally, as I said, we designed these from scratch. This is not some generic cut pattern. They're designed in a way that you don't need to cut, but misalignments happen and I might need to cut something. I have a diabetic needle, which I'll use to extract bubbles post-installation if I missed something. And I have my debadging tool, because all of these badges, the compass logo, the Rivian letters, everything needs to go. Before I begin installing the hood, I'll need to remove the compass logo. And this is a simple process. Uh, what you want to do is essentially heat it because the logo is attached with a double-sided adhesive. Heat it and then use the debadging tool to get under it and start removing that double-sided adhesive. Now don't overdo it with the heat gun. You can always heat more, but if you heat too much, you can even melt your paint. So be careful with that. Now the compass logos, it's a bit hard to get started initially because you're kind of not on the same level as the rest of the body of the car. So let's see if that trick will do it. Yeah. I forgot to mention, but because of the debadging, I'll also need glue gun, basically a glue remover. Now notice that if you go like either up or sideways with the debadging tool, you cannot go all the way through. There are two little pins on the back. So around in the middle, you will want to kind of move and get to the other side. Now let's see if we can just lift it up. Success. And now we need to clean this. That's always fun. So when you have so much of this adhesive, don't use the glue gun. The glue gun is just for the final polishing. Try to just remove it like that. I found out that if you heat it, it comes off more easily. Okay, maybe it's time you give that glue gun a try. All right. Now that that's done, next step would be to clean the hood. And I will be cleaning the hood with the soap and water that I'll be using for the installation itself. Now notice that around this area, past the initial cleaning, you may want to apply a little bit of IPA to get completely rid of the buildup. Then use the rubber squeegee to remove the water. Now let's apply a little bit of IPA here where I used glue gun. And IPA is isopropyl alcohol. Then let's go over this part again, just to make sure that any lint that this microfiber released will be off of the hood. The next important part is to clean the edges where the PPF will fold over. So let's open that hood. These places usually collect a lot of dirt, so you definitely need to clean them. Unless you're installing on a brand new Rivian, you definitely need to clean them. And even if it's brand new, I would still recommend to go over the edges. All right, one last go. So if you're wondering why I clean so much, the reason is that dirt under the paint protection film is just about the only issue that you cannot fix easily during an installation. So I prefer to spend extra time cleaning so that we have a clean installation after that. And obviously the hood is one of the more difficult panels to clean. One, because of its size, and two, because it's a bit hard to reach in some areas. Now when you're done, spray again and just leave it that way. And now let's prepare the paint protection film for transfer. So, to transfer the film, first spray on top. Then clean the film, because chances are you have dust flying around your garage and there is something on the film already. So let's clean it. Then spray again, and then we'll start peeling off. As you peel off, spray the adhesive side with salty water. Be careful around the edges because they're pressure relief cuts, and if you pull hard, you can damage the film there. Now I'll go working on the opposite side, and I hope to meet the two sides at some point. By the way, if you have zero prior experience with paint protection film, my advice would be, even though the hood is the first sheet, maybe skip that, just unroll, leave it on the table, and then unroll the second sheet, because the hood is one of the trickiest parts of this installation. So just food for thought, if this is your first time doing anything like that, maybe leave that for a little bit later when you have more experience than in paint protection film. Okay, I finally got all of the adhesive sprayed, and I'm ready to transfer. Let's quickly respray this. Now for that part, for the transfer, if you have a helper, it's much easier. I don't have a helper, so I'll try to do it myself. So I'll fold it in half. Now I'll try to align and clear out the huge bubbles. Alright, for the next step, you will begin the alignment at the top corners. So I'll start from this side, and for this step, I'll need my clean water, the TAC solution. So let's spray some of it. And what this does is essentially to wash away the soap. And then the PPF sticks a little there. And the way you want to position these spotlights here, I don't want to remove, but the way you want to position it, you'll notice at the end it makes like a V. Position it so that when you fold the V around, you don't see the edge. It's as simple as that. Let's squeegee a little bit here. Not too much, just to get some adhesion in this area. Because now I'll go do the opposite side. The same thing on the opposite side. Notice how I lifted it up a little bit and pulled a little bit to get to the right position. Now let's start removing that water. Notice how the first thing I do is to basically remove the big water spots and wrinkles by hand. And now let's squeeze it. I'll start in the middle and go down like this. And a term I'll be using throughout the installation is fingers. Those are this pressure in the film that happens at the end where the edges are. So these are fingers, and we'll tackle them in a little bit. Some of them will leave for when the film dries up, but very little. So let me first get most of that water out, and then we'll start doing the fine tuning. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So every time you install, or every different person installing this will have slightly different pressure here. But the principles of how to handle this are the same. What you see here is essentially too much film. The reason is that all of these curves create that pressure, and the way to handle this is by stretching. Let me demonstrate here. Notice that if I stretch, that pressure disappears. Now the problem is that now I have a little bit more pressure here. So the way to handle pressure on two sides is to stretch in between them. But now the other thing you'll notice is that I stretch, I squeegee, I let it go, and then it goes back to this. So for that, we'll use our TAC solution. Open up a little bit, and I like to start here on the side first. Now let's pull. If your alignment is perfect, that pressure lifted here would exactly match that corner. Now in the process of stretching though, it is possible to change the alignment, so to speak. That's okay, we can always trim it. Now let's use a little bit of clean water here on the edges. And notice I'm also rubbing the film with my fingers. So to clarify something, paint protection film sticks relatively fine when it's wet. It's the soap that makes it not stick, so you can align it. The water is just carrier for that soap. But the moment you wash that soap away, the film starts sticking. So the tack solution is essentially clean water to wash the soap away. That's all. And now notice I'm just stretching and working my way sideways. Now, I will have a hard time fixing all of these right now. If you're installing clear film, be that glossy or the stealth film, you might want to spend that time now as opposed to just letting it dry and then finishing, because you might get like ghosting under the film. But if you're installing cover section film, there are no such issues. So you can just get it somewhat there and then just leave it to dry and finish it later. And notice I'm not just squeezing, I'm also pulling. So to clear that pressure, you need to stretch. There is no way around it. And once you reach the edge, don't do the folding now. You cannot do the folding now. The folding will happen much later when the film is completely dry. But you want to get as close to the edge as possible, have minimal fingers to avoid issues after that. Now let's do the same on this side. Notice that at this point, depending on ambient temperature and how long it's taking you and your soap solution, the film might start to dry. So you might feel a little bit of resistance pulling the film up. Be aware that one risk you're running when using the tack solution is that you have to be very careful with the squeegee, because once you remove that soap, the film will stick and may trap water under it. Like for instance, I see I trapped a little water here, so I'll have to reopen and I'll have to respray. Let's do something similar here. I won't reopen the film here, just clean some of that and try to make these fingers smaller. Okay, we're almost done with this. Enough to let it dry. So make sure to go over your installation. If you see any bubbles, now would be easier to handle than later. Anything that we missed out, we'll have to use the diabetic needle to extract it later. And when all that is done, make sure the film is not sticking to the fenders. If it is, peel off, because the next step is to actually open the hood and let the film dry that way. Now, once it's open, I like to go over the edges again. Get that water out. And now you can just leave it, let it dry, then move on to sheet number 2. Alright, this is sheet number 2. In here we have the driver's side front door, which would require the badging. And notice this is the letter D as in driver's side and the letter P as in passenger side. You see these letters throughout the entire project, but still use your best judgment whenever the letter is, you know, next to two panels and it's unclear which one it refers to. So I'll start with the passenger side rear door. It's a bit easier because I don't need to debadge, and then I'll do the front door. Now these are the door handles, which I'll do much later. I would need to probably finish the doors before I can do the door handles. And these cutouts are, if you are using a professional mirror wrapping tool, these are made to fit that tool if you want to try to wrap your mirrors in one go. Now, in all fairness, I've tried this multiple times, always unsuccessful. There are other cutouts for the mirrors that I'll be using. They're made out of 2 pieces, so there will be a seam line, but you know, they're doable, and this is really hard. But still, we provide it there. Feel free to give it a try if you want, or just dispose. Now, for every panel, I'll be repeating the same steps, so I'll not be going through them in details unless there is something really different, and that is the cleaning part. So the cleaning part I'll just do probably on a time lapse, but it's the same for all panels. You have to spray, clean with a rubber squeegee, then remember to clean the edges. Now this particular Rivian has an issue with this door trim, so we'll work around that. I think it's only on this door. And you need to open the front door to get to the inner edge of the rear door to clean it. I'll go one more time just in case. Now these doors are actually really easy to install. They're much smaller. There is not much to it, except maybe the area around the door handles. Be careful when you peel off the PPF to not rip it around these door handles or the pressure relief cuts. Alright, let's position this. Now just tack it a little bit so I can move my camera and show you a little bit better angle, so you can see details on how to align this. So a few notes about alignment. On this side, next to the front doors, this piece that's sticking out will eventually fold and cover the exposed paint after the door trim. So this is one alignment point. Then in terms of height, you want this to go all the way to the rubber strip and maybe just a tad bit under it. For this, we can use the yellow edge tool. Let's see. Again, this is a bit trickier because this trim is needs replacement. Then on this side, I'll align by this top edge over here, but for this part I'll use my tack solution. So let's get a nice alignment. Make sure it's going in as intended, as I show you here. Make sure that these other pressure relief cuts, when you fold the film, are not going to leave any of the paint exposed. And then, as a verification that we're doing a good job aligning this, we'll check the door handles. So you want the film to be sticking inside about equal amount. So I can see that I'm actually short on this side and a bit too long on this. And if that happens to you, just peel off and correct. I feel that I'm getting pressure here after the repositioning, so I will reposition this as well. Again, maybe on the driver's side of this door, it would be a lot easier to demonstrate because the trim there is not loose and a lot of the alignment here happens around that trim. All right, I think we're good now. And let's start removing that water. And now, here on the bottom, you'll notice the film overlaps a little bit with this plastic trim. And this is as intended. Because here we'll use the yellow edge tool once it dries up to tuck it under this plastic trim. So for now, let's squeegee it all the way down and just leave it to dry. Now I'll crack that door open and this door so that the edges don't stick to the other panels. And I'll wash the edges with clean water. Now, what you want here is for the edges to be drying up without all that soap. But notice that once you spray them with clean water, some of that water might get under the PPF, so you'll want to squeegee again. I think I got everything that I could in terms of water, and now I'll just let it dry and go debadge the driver's side front door. All right, now let's position the front door. There are a few considerations for the proper alignment of this panel. First, let me get all of the pieces right. Okay. And then I will actually begin the positioning at the door handle. And again, the principle is that you want the film to be sticking out on the inside about equal amount on each side. Also make sure that you go all the way to this upper trim. So this is also really important. And you want to push a little bit with the squeegee to make sure that it folds under the trim. So just push the film a little bit up, push with the squeegee, and see that it goes under that plastic trim. Now have in mind that as I'm working on this side, the other side wants to sag down. So keep holding it with one hand, and then when you reach that other side, push up, make sure that it's going under the trim. Then here around the mirror, I will position my pieces nicely and make sure that we don't have anything exposed around that mirror or at the upper trim here. Now for this part, because it wants to kind of fall down, I'll use a little bit of tack meaning clean water, to make it stay all the way to the plastic trim. And notice that I'm tucking the film under that mirror assembly. There is a little gap, and you can tuck it under. So you will want everything on the top to be nicely positioned before you continue squeezing downwards. And now let's just remove all that water. When you get to that curve, make sure to go over it diligently with the squeegee, because water wants to accumulate here and make bubbles. Now I will take this here and spray with clean water. Remember, after spraying with clean water, you have to squeegee again. But you will want to clean that soap from the edges before you let it dry. Otherwise, there will be soap residue, and edge folding will be much harder. Take your time removing that water. The more you do now, the less you have to do after that. And check under different angles, by the way. Many times I look at it on one side, it looks perfect. Then I change my angle and boom, I see a bubble that I could have swore that it wasn't there. But some of these bubbles really show up on specific angles and not others. All right. I think that door is ready to be left alone to dry. Now, from the second sheet, I have the door handles. As I said, I prefer to do these later once the doors are finished. And I have the pieces for the mirror wrap too. Those I will not use, so I'll just separate the door handles, keep them for later, and the rest I will throw away and open the third sheet. Now the third sheet and the fourth sheet, and by the way, it's total of 4 sheets. The last two are really long, and the reason is that on them are the rear quarter panels, which, if you pay attention, they go all the way to the windshield. It's the same panel. Starts at the tail lights, goes all the way to the windshield, and this is really long. It's about 135 or something inches. And given that this table is 96, that means that I need to leave about 20 inches hanging on each side. Before I do that, let me just show you what's here. So here we have bumper, charge port, we have the front passenger side door, we have the passenger side mirrors, this tailgate piece, this is the passenger side quarter. It will actually be easier to move this if I fold it back. And then, to avoid damaging the film, I will actually do the last unfolding here on top of this. But essentially what remains here is the header panel and the bottom of the tailgate. So we have the top of the tailgate, the bottom of the tailgate, header panel, quarter panel, passenger side, bumper, charge ports, 2 of them, have a practice piece, door, passenger side and passenger side mirrors. Alright, now that both front doors are done, what I want to do is to kind of empty that sheet on one side so that I can work with the big piece after that, so I can pull the whole sheet this way. So I'll do the mirrors, and maybe after that I'll do the bumper and the top of the tailgate, then move the sheet so I have better access to the rest of the stuff. So let's start with the mirrors. Those are passenger side. So we'll clean here. It's really easy. And please notice this. The mirrors being higher than the door that I just installed. As you install these and spray, some of that water may come here and then go under the PPF of the door. So after the installation of the mirrors, I would want to recheck this and just squeegee if anything got inside. So I'll start with this piece, and by the way, this is just two sets. They're both passenger side, just two sets. Position on this side and then here. Now for this to work, I'll first need to make this side stick really well. So I'll spray some clean water. And I'm sorry, you probably don't see much of what I'm doing. But it is what it is. So the idea is to tack this side, and then notice how this is shorter. It's intentionally shorter. We'll have to pull to eliminate that pressure over here. So now we want to tack the opposite side so that when we pull, it actually stays. And then pull a little bit, and don't pull the thin part, pull here. If after you release it goes back, you need more clean water. Do your best to align this. And now notice that it kind of wants to go up. So I'll spray here and push it down. Now just wash with clean water and try to basically close this part. You'll not be able to fully close it, but close as much as you can. Now let's position the top part. And the alignment of the top part would begin over here. You will want to spray some clean water and position, squeegee a little bit. What you want is to be able to stretch like this to eliminate that pressure, and this should stay. So if it's not staying, you need to spray more clean water. Now let's spray the opposite end so that we can stretch a little bit, get rid of some of that pressure. Now do your best to position these edge to edge. That would give you the best visual results. But if they overlap a little bit, that's also okay. Due to that stretching, to eliminate that pressure, you may have a little bit of film hanging over this edge. That's not an issue. We can tuck it in, or if it's more, you can always trim it. Now more clean water. And I'll stretch here a little bit. Get some of this pressure out. And when the fingers are reduced to be as small as this, you can just leave it to dry, and we'll finish this later when it dries up. So this is what the fingers look like. This is how I'll leave it to dry. Next up, I'll do the top piece of the tailgate. Now for this one, it will tuck under this plastic, so make sure to clean there as well. You can find an entry point with your squeegee. This is something you can lift up just a little bit to get the squeegee under and clean it like this. Remember to also clean the edges. And then let's just position this. Now notice that this side, where the pressure relief cut kind of sticks out more, this would be the top. And you will want to align here. Let me actually get clean water. Let's spray a little bit. You will want to align here and fold a little bit so that you can see that once folded, it would cover all the paint. Then you want this to fold on the top and go about 1 millimeter under the plastic trim. So this is in terms of alignment. Now the other thing to notice is that this is intentionally shorter by a little bit. So spray the other side with clean water and pull. And the reason it's shorter is to eliminate the pressure of the curve. Okay, now in the middle it's kind of going up, so I'll spray a little bit of clean water here, make it stay. Let's position it nicely so that it folds just a little bit under this plastic trim. And then you can also, actually sorry, before I fold the bottom, let's spray that with clean water. And now just squeegee and fold under. Let's clean all that soap here. In here I'll also use the edge tool, and we'll do the finishing work later on this, but what I want is for the PPF to be, the glue side to be facing the paint and not the tail lights. Next up, let's do the bumper. And for the bumper, I'll start with the charge port. So let's clean it. And if you want to prevent the charge port from opening, you can turn on car wash mode. In my case, I'll just work around that because this is a very quick install, the charge port, and then I'll continue with the actual bumper. But for that, I need the charge port open. All right, let's see. So you will want to tack on one end, then tack on another, then for the next one I'll actually pull here and tack because I want to eliminate that pressure. Notice this, but if I pull, it goes away. Then spray clean water in this area. And pull slightly to eliminate that pressure. Check the pressure relief cuts, make sure that once you fold this, it's not gonna leave exposed paint. And we'll do the finishing work, folding those edges after it dries up. For now, I just want to have this properly positioned so that we can fold the edges later. And then open it, recheck your edges again, and maybe do a little bit of clean water here. Also, let's wash the edges. And be gentle when the charge port door is open. Don't go too aggressively with the squeegee, you don't want to break the door. But just remove the water. That's it. So the way you transfer this if you're alone is fold the film like this. If you have a helper, it's easier obviously. And oh, that's bad timing. And the alignment, I recommend you start on the driver's side. And be careful to not drop the film. Let's get some clean water here just so we can tack it. And initially, my aim is to just position the film on the bumper without the film dropping to the ground. Okay, this charging port is really annoying for that work. Even though I actually put the car in service mode, it doesn't want to stay open. Okay, let's just kind of have the film out there. Okay. Now that it is on the bumper, let's begin the actual installation. So, this piece you want to align to the edge of this plastic trim. Notice that the yellow H2 does not easily get in between the bumper and this trim. So I don't want to overlap here. Just go to the end. Before that, spray clean water and squeegee. And now we'll just move to the opposite side slowly, and I will tack the film here and there just so that it doesn't misalign itself. Now in here, position so that the pressure relief cut is on the curb. Then verify your edge here. It should match, the pressure relief cut should match the edge, and tack it. Then for the middle part, you will want this to go in between the light bar and the bumper. So just use your squeegee to tuck it in. And again, your alignment is the pressure relief cut and this edge. You can also check the opposite side, make sure that once you fold it, it's looking good. The bumper might look scary, but once you actually transfer it from the sheet onto the car, it's actually an easy piece to do. Now, when you reach this side, this is where you need to do a little bit more. Let's reopen it. I want it to be slippery. Now, generally, you will want this to go all the way to the edge, so that it doesn't overlap on this panel, but it's kind of in between the two edges, so that when you fold, it covers the edge, and that's it. Notice that the yellow edge tool does not fit in between these two either. Now, there is a little bit different about this Rivian, and that is that the bumper is protruding on this side. I think there is a missing clip or something, or broken clip. So we will want to wrap this as well. So I'll actually have to pull a little bit. Now let's position here. And before you do any pulling, because you will also need to pull a little bit, you need to tack the opposite side, otherwise this side will go off. So let's tack it here and here, but not here. And now I'll tack here and pull a little bit. Now mind your positioning around this. So the yellow edge tool, again, reminder, does not fit between the bumper and this plastic trim, but it does fit between the bumper and the fender flares, or whatever those are called. So here it's okay to overlap a little if you need to. Here, not so much. If you end up overlapping here, you will need to trim it later. So on the bottom, I want this to reach the edge and no more. Here, I can pull some more to eliminate that pressure. And in my case, I'll pull even some more to fold around this edge here where the bumper is protruding. Now for the top, I'll open it up actually and spray. Now water is probably under the PPF again, so let's get it out. Just making sure that I'm not leaving bubbles as best as I can. But just so you know, even if you end up with some bubbles, don't worry, I'll show you how to get rid of them. I'm sure that I'll have multiple bubbles that I didn't see. Let's clean that soap here and squeegee again. Alright, this I'll finish later when it dries up. For now, just try to get as much water out as you can. Make the fingers as small as you can. So here's something that can happen. Because of the clean water, I essentially trapped water here. I see it right now. So it doesn't want to escape because it's already sticking. So I'll just reopen. It's close to the edge. I'll reopen. If that wasn't close to the edge, I'll just leave it. I'll not force it, and I will extract that water later with a diabetic needle. Alright, I think the bumper is done. Now with the bumper done, I pulled the sheet, folded it over itself, just enough so that I have access to the header panel. This is the header panel, the black, in this case black panel that's above the windshield. And this is the bottom of the tailgate. But the bottom of the tailgate I'll do later, not now. I'll actually do the header panel first, and then I'll do this. And I'll save the tailgate for a little bit later. And the reason is that the truck barely fits in my garage, and I cannot turn it around if I don't close the front, but I cannot close the front if I don't fold the edges. And I cannot install this outside because it's really hot. You should avoid installing in really hot weather. Earlier in this video I installed the top piece, which was smaller and simpler than this, and it was sticking really fast, faster than I needed to. So this I'll leave later when I fold the edges of the front so I can turn the truck around. So for now, let's do the header panel and then we'll move to the quarter. Now this is another panel where a helper would make your life easier, just because it's in an inconvenient position. But lucky for me, this Rivian has rock sliders, so I'm using those instead of a ladder. If you don't have rock sliders, you'll probably need a ladder. And you can just slide the film and then catch it on the other side. Alright, so this is how we do this. Use clean water. You will want to tag this on the end and align the pressure relief cuts again so that when you fold, it covers all the paint. Here is where it gets tricky. If you notice, there is a weather strip between the header panel and the windshield. I think it's part of the windshield actually, but it doesn't matter. This weather strip is in inconsistent positions. So I don't know how it will be for you. You'll notice that it might not even be consistent within the length of the windshield. So what you want to do here, because it's very difficult to tuck under that, is to align the film so that it goes all the way to the edge of the weather strip. And if it goes under the weather strip, you have to use a yellow edge tool to tuck it in, but again, it's a bit of a hassle. So I'll squeeze about this much to the middle, basically. And then I'll go on the opposite side and pull. It's a very minimal pull, about ½ an inch. But it will take away some of that pressure. Before pulling, make sure to spray with clean water so that when you let go, it doesn't go back. Try to get as much of that water out, have nice looking edges, and just do the folding later. Alright, time for this huge panel. Let's clean it. And you will want to clean the inner edges where this will fold around. Now let's peel this off. First clean it. Let's carefully peel this off. Now at this point, I'll return this and try to do the same from the opposite side. Notice that now I can afford to drop the film to the ground, the backing at least, because I installed everything else. Okay, one more spray. And positioning time. Have the squeegee in your hand. Okay, so you want to begin this with the big part here because it's the heaviest, the hardest one to manage. So put it here, somewhat in its right position. Squeegee a little bit so that it doesn't drop to the ground. And then let's put this part and these. Okay, now that we know that the film is there, let's do the precise alignment. So my alignment will actually start here at this edge. So first, let's just slide the film to that. And by the way, if it's not sliding, you just need to reopen and spray some soapy solution. Use clean water to tack it here. Next up, over here. Now notice that there are small pressure relief cuts over there. Make sure that they're not going to expose any paint. And don't pull too much up because you want this to be loose, like this. Then check on top. And let's squeegee just about till, say, the middle of the rear door. And I'll leave it at that for the next few minutes until I position that part. For this one, you may want to open the tunnel door. Next up, I will want to position here. So I want this to fold and go just a little bit under the plastic trim. Notice that this plastic trim is really tight. You can get the yellow edge tool under it, but it's not trivial, at least on this particular build. Now the film is starting to stick in places, so I'll reopen a little bit, respray, otherwise we'll trap water, get wrinkles and such. And again, I'm just positioning the top here so that it would fold just a little bit under that plastic trim. Then let's try to handle this. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. This pressure is going to be really hard to clear right now. So, what I'll do is that I'll spray clean water in here while this is not still tacked. I want this water to be able to flow down. I'll even open here. Now, let's see what can we do about this. I'm getting a bit of unnecessary pressure here, so I'll just reopen, allow that pressure to go this way. Now let's do this edge, clear that pressure. You may want to pull just a little bit to clear the pressure. And about halfway over the tire is where I stop with the squeegeeing. And this is the reason. All of this pressure here would be very difficult to handle if we don't pull. Notice that the film is intentionally shorter. Now, before I pull, I will want to tuck in the top piece of the tailgate that I installed. I'll just tuck it under the edge. It's already sticking to the quarter panel, so just peel that edge. Just tuck it under. There you go. And now you will first want to do the top part, tuck here. Notice the pressure relief cut. This is where this will end, around here, and this will fold inside. The other marker for your alignment is this pressure relief cut, which you will want here. So spray clean water. And pull. I might need to open the garage for a bit. Okay, so with the garage open, this will be drying really quickly, so it's gonna be trickier. Let's see. So I will actually need to peel off a bit. And you also want to make sure that this part looks fine. Let me actually give it some tuck. Now this becomes really tricky when you have sun. So I'll use more soapy solution. All right. Now notice that when I pull, the whole thing moves exactly as I want it. And we'll just do the same on the bottom. We'll want to pull and tuck. Then for this pressure you want to pull down, but let's first fix this. Okay guys, I closed the garage because it's impossible to finish this with the sun. I showed you the pulling here, but I need to fix all of that, and everything dries up way too quickly. It's over 100 degrees outside. Now in all fairness, if you're doing this in your garage and your Rivian fits, you don't need to open it. I only opened it so that the camera can show what I'm doing, but you have the space to do it even without opening the garage, and I highly recommend you do not open it. Everything just sticking prematurely is a tough way to do a wrap. On the bright side, notice how forgivable good quality paint protection film like ours is. This looked totally botched a few minutes ago, and now I'm on my way of actually installing it. Okay, let's see all of this. This was not exposed to the sun, so it's actually still wet and workable. Now I'm pulling down and towards the driver's side to get rid of that pressure and to cover my edges. Now that pressure worries me. It shouldn't have been here, but again, sun. So let's try to tack it now. And that pressure here is a bit too much. So I'll open up and stretch some more, even at the risk of going a little bit overboard. With this edge, I can always trim it. Okay, now notice how I removed the pressure. And again, at the risk of stretching the material too much and having to trim a little bit, but I prefer to trim a little bit than to deal with these wrinkles later. Now let's open this and let it dry like this. Okay, now let's start finishing that part. It's been a while, so it's dry. I want to open it up, make sure that we don't have pressure like that. I'll use some clean water here. And if you remember, I told you squeegee till the middle of the rear door and then leave it. Let me show you why. Notice that this doesn't end at the end. So what you want to do, this is probably dry at this point, mostly dry. You want to reopen, respray with soapy water, and then we will stretch and tack here at the end. There is a pressure relief cut which you need to align, and notice that for this particular piece the stretch is a bit more. Otherwise it's very difficult to clear the curves. Make sure to align in a way that once you fold, the paint will not be visible. At least not when the doors are closed. And before I let this dry, let's try to improve this part. For this, I'll be using the plastic squeegee. And first let's see, okay, so this is quite a bit of water that's under the PPF. It will take a while to dry up. So let's take the water out. It kind of goes up and some of it comes back down. Okay, I'll use heat gun really gently here. I don't want to overdo it. Let's see. Now let's try this trick. I will grab a microfiber and I will want to soak that water. And be careful to not touch the bottom of the PPF with the microfiber. Okay, this is a much better state. I'll leave it to dry like that, and I'll finish it when it's dry. So from the third sheet, I only have the bottom of the tailgate left. So I will cut this and keep it for later. And I'll open the fourth sheet. Let's go over it. But before I actually start installing the fourth sheet, I'm thinking it's been several hours. It's really hot here. It's about 90 degrees in my garage, over 90. So a lot of this is probably dry already, especially the hood, doors. So I'll actually work a little bit on edge folding before I continue. And together with the door handles, this will wait until I can turn the truck around. The last fourth sheet will be equal length to the previous one, because it has the driver's side quarter panel and this is the longest piece. We just arranged the other stuff around it. Actually, to make my life easier, I'll not open the entire sheet just yet, but let me quickly go over it. So we have the driver's side mirrors, driver's side front fenders, passenger side front fenders, driver's side rear door, and we have the gear tunnel doors, driver and passenger to follow. But I see that I need to begin on this side, just like I did with the other one. So I'll just block it from falling like this. And I will work on the fenders, the doors, all of this, and work my way through the sheet. But as I said, before I do that, let's start folding some edges, see if that works. So let's start with the hood, as I said. Now the hood is crucial, because if I want to work on the back of the truck, I need to turn it around. And the Rivian won't let me drive it if the hood is open. But for me to close it, I need to fold these edges. So the first thing you want to do when folding edges is to kind of score the PPF all the way to the edge and make sure that you're not leaving any water or air trapped here. So any fingers that you have left, now is the time to fix those. And then I'll just start folding. Now for this part, my tools are plastic squeegee and the yellow H2. I will not be using the rubber squeegee over dry PPF. And there is a weather strip here on the sides, which you can easily clear with this tool. So notice I'm starting from top, I'm pushing down and kind of going around the edge and then fold. This is to prevent trapping air. Now if you do end up trapping air, don't panic, just reopen it and redo it. And then I'll use the yellow edge tool to push it all the way in. Now let's work on these. So the way I would handle these is just pull and squeegee. Then let's score it and then just fold it. Again, notice I start on top and I push and go all the way on the other side. Let's do the same on the opposite side. Now, let me show you how to finish this kind of edge. I'll use the 3M94 primer, and a heat gun. So if you're using this specific version of the 94 primer, you press here to break it, shake, and then I'll open a little bit, apply the primer on the PPF and on the paint, also on the inside. Give it a few seconds to dry up. Then heat it with a heat gun. And then I will pull this over the edge and fold one side at a time. And you have a professional looking edge. Let's do the same on the other side. Peel off a little bit, apply primer. All right, here comes the fun part. Let's do the front. So first, I will just use the plastic squeegee to see if everything would just go all the way to the edge. When doing so, I'm pulling and I'm being very careful, if the PPF wants to wrinkle, not to wrinkle it. So if it wants to wrinkle, you have to open it up a little bit and give it more space to distribute the pressure. So I'll clear it just a little bit past the headlights, the first one, and then I'll fold this and then continue. For the folding, again, heat gun. And now the pressure relief cuts might completely escape their intended positions. This is a risk with any panel where you need to stretch. If that is the case and it's causing issues, you can always trim the excess. For example, I got a little bit of excess here. Just trim it. All right, let's continue. Now, if I feel that if I continue pressing here, look how it's kind of, all the pressure is coming together, I will wrinkle this. So if you fear that this is the case, just open up a little bit and give it space to distribute that pressure. Keep in mind that paint protection film is stretchable, so this opening and distributing pressure, this is using it as intended. Do remember that you cannot do the edge folding if the film is not completely dry. It's not gonna work. They're not gonna stick. Some excess here, so I'll make a slice. And now I'll finish this edge the same way as I did the back side. Apply primer. Notice that these specific primers, once you open them, they dry up really quickly. So they sell them in packs of like 5, 10 and such. Just keep in mind that you have limited time with it once you open it. Also, an important reminder is that I'm doing this in 90 degrees. I'm in California, and most of the time the weather is like that. If you're doing this in colder weather, let's say 70 or 60, you'll probably need to use the heat gun for the entire perimeter of this. I'm not using it because the PPF is soft enough due to how hot it is, but the PPF gets kind of harder if it's colder, and also not as sticky. So if you're doing this in colder weather, you'll be much more comfortable than I am, but you'll need to use the heat gun more. Now that the edges are folded, let me fix this around the logo and any bubbles that I can find. So for this, I'll be using a diabetic needle and just go under the PPF. And you might need to do this multiple times, but I hope you can see it on video that every time it becomes better. This is a great way to remove water and air. And because the PPF is self-healing and the diabetic needle being so thin, it doesn't really leave a mark. I will also slice here and here so that the emblems can be reinserted, and this further allows for some drying and drainage, because I see there is still quite a bit of moisture under here where the compass logo is, and I will let it dry some more, and then I'll just repeat that with a diabetic needle. Now I'll just go over my install of the hood, and wherever I see some mist water, I'll just get it out with the needle. From what I can tell at the moment, this looks good. I will recheck once the car is out and gets a couple of days of drying. Before that, I'll finish this. I'll just give it a few more hours of drying, and I'll go with the needle again to remove any remaining water so that the PPF nicely sticks. Next up, let's see if we can fold the edges on the doors. I'll start here on the top. I'll tuck the PPF in, and wherever is not going all the way in, I'll use the yellow edge tool to push it. I also see a big bubble here. Let me extract this. So when you have a bubble that's vertical like this, extract from the bottom. And here what I'm trying to do is essentially tuck in the film under the weather strip. Then I will score this edge. and just fold it. When you reach this curve, fold the curve first and then let the pressure distribute up and down. Same for all curves actually. Just fold up the curve and distribute the pressure up and down. And for this area around the door handle, I might need to revisit it later. We'll see if it's lifting up. I will either need to use a heat gun or primer or both. For now, I'm just doing preliminary edge folding. And for here, remember I told you overlap the trim. Now just start on one side and insert the yellow edge tool to tuck the PPF under that trim. Now for this part, you will want to open the door a little bit, and it's just a tricky thing to access, but I'll use the yellow edge tool to tuck in the PPF under that weather strip here. And now just use the sharp side of the yellow edge tool to go over it one more time. Now let's make sure that these pieces are well positioned. Let's use a little bit of heat gun here. See if we can make it better right now. Oh yeah, that's pretty good actually, as long as it stays. If it doesn't, again, we might need to use primer here. Now I see that on the bottom it's sticking in a little bit too much, so I want to tuck it in here. So if you insert this tool in between the assembly of the door handle itself and the metal panel, you can tuck it in should you need to. Alternatively, you can trim it. For now, I'll tuck it in, I'll see how it behaves, and if it has a tendency of lifting up, I'll just carefully trim it with a utility knife. But for now, it actually looks pretty good. Check for bubbles. Tiny bubbles, by the way, you don't need to extract. You can just poke them and press and they go away. And one more thing, if you notice your edge is not looking perfect somewhere, you can always peel off and redo it. Let's check out the mirrors. Now for these, historically I oftentimes find them lifting up a little bit, and if that happens, you will want to use the primer. On the other hand, I think I did a pretty good job eliminating the pressure during the initial installation, so maybe it won't lift up. Now here I overstretched a little bit, so what I want to do is to insert it here and see if we can just not use the utility knife for trimming and instead just tuck it in under this piece. Let's see if that would work. Okay, that seems to work, but I'm still getting too much pressure here. So I'll use a heat gun, and if that doesn't help, I'll just trim it. I'm just trimming this. It's a very easy trim. And there you have it. Let's do a rear door now. Again, score. You want to have very clean edges. Take care of these fingers that you have in some places. And by the way, I can feel some moisture still here. So I don't know if that would work, but I'll still give it a shot. Again, reminder, I'll probably remind you a few more times. If you're doing this in colder weather than I am, you likely need to use a heat gun for this. I'm doing this in over 90 degrees in my garage, so I barely need to use a heat gun. But if you're doing this at 70 or even lower, you likely need to use it. Okay, I see that this is not dry yet here, and it's not sticking. So that part I'll just leave alone and do it when it's ready to be done. Let's see if we can make some progress here. Now I'm using the plastic squeegee to tuck the PPF in, and you may also need to use the yellow edge tool. Piece of advice, when the PPF is going over a weather strip, it's a bit harder to do it this way. So use the sharp part of this, get under the weather strip, and then just move in one direction, and this actually gets the PPF under the weather strip, like this. There you go. Now the PPF is under the weather strip over there. Now what I'm doing right now is essentially getting that film under the weather strip. And as a reminder, this Rivian was like that. This is not caused by the installation. The owner knows about this. It's actually registered with the service center for repair. So on this door, this weather strip is, not weather strip, sorry, plastic trim, just needs replacing. There you go. Now let's do this side. Again, when you have a curve, start at the curve. And if you mess up somewhere like this, you can peel off and redo. And here it helps to lift that weather strip a little bit, just so you can get the PPF under it. For the bottom, just like we did on the front door, I'll make sure there are no bubbles here, and I'll use the yellow edge tool, start on one side and just tuck under the plastic trim. Alright, the next thing I want to fold would be the bumper. And let's start on this side. There is still some moisture that I see here. If it prevents me from folding everything, so be it, I'll just revisit later. But I still think that the majority of it will work now, because it should be pretty dry by now. And if you overlap somewhere where you shouldn't have, like here, like I did, which is very possible when you have to stretch, just trim it. Go against the plastic trim, not against your paint, and cut it off. Now here I'd like to score with just my finger, and then tuck it in either with the squeegee or the yellow edge tool. In this case, if you remember, I mentioned this bumper needs some clips because it's sticking out. It will be serviced by Rivian. So my geometry is a little bit different than what most of yours would be. I have a little bit sticking over here. And just like that, bubbles are gone. That's why I keep saying, don't worry too much. I mean, obviously try to do your best to avoid them, but if you get some bubbles, don't worry too much. They're so easy to take care of. It just adds time to this step of the process. So how fast you complete this would also depend on how many mistakes you have to correct. Okay, let's get to this part. Now here we have this large pressure relief cut, and you will want to fold one side first. I'll start with this one, and then I'm peeling off because I saw some bubbles that I can just take this way, and then use the squeegee, pull this end and press over it. When you reach to the other side here, again pull to eliminate that pressure, and squeegee. Now here though, this is a bit trickier. We have multiple corners, so I'll clear them at the very end with my fingers and squeegee. Be careful because the PPF might be sticking to the headlights, so if you just go in with the squeegee you may rip it off. So first peel it off from the headlights and then push it in. You might need to use heat gun here. I see there's still moisture here, so this part is still not ready to stick, maybe because of where it is. Yeah, I can see the water. It needs more time to evaporate. So I'll just continue. There's really nothing too special about that folding. As you're probably starting to notice if you've watched thus far, a lot of it is the same principles. But you know, it takes time. Now here I got a little bit of PPF sticking to itself, so I'm opening it up, making sure it's not sticking to itself. And some bubbles. And again, this bottom part here near the headlights doesn't seem to be ready to stick fully, so I'll just leave it for now and come back later when it's dry, and you just go like this with a squeegee and it's done. Now let's work on this area. You can be sure that the PPF is sticking to all of the panels around it, and that if I press the button to open the door is not going to open. We're just going to make it hard for the motor that moves it. So let's fix that first by just spinning it off. Okay, let's see now. Okay, good. I'll just finish this first. And this is very easy. And then let's start working on that door. So the first thing you want to do is, just because we just peeled it off, I will want to make sure that the PPF goes to the end of the edge, and it looks nice. But as you can probably see, it just dripped some water, so this piece might not be ready to go yet. Let's see what we can do. Maybe some of it will stick, other parts won't, and will need to be done later. Now, one other thing you can do about the charge port is to fold it over and then just cut it on the edge line on the inside if you don't want to handle all of that pressure. I'll use the help of the heat gun. Actually, there is one more thing we can do here. Let's plug it in, and this way the charge port will stay. Gives us more time to work. There's really a lot of pressure here with the charge port, so you need to use the heat gun. You might need to use a primer. Or again, if you don't want to do any of those, a perfectly valid approach is to just fold it around and cut right inside the edge. Yeah, so this part is still wet. This is where the water dripped from. So this is what it looks on the inside. As you can see, a lot of pressure. So one thing you can do
is just play with it, tuck it in, clear the pressure. But I will actually take the shortcut here because there is not much value to it. Now if you're wondering why don't you cut it this way directly, because it becomes a lot harder to align. So now that I have a clear edge here, and I kind of tucked it under, because this is a waffle of two plastics, I kind of tucked it under the other one. I'll just use my utility knife, jam it between the two plastics, and cut it. And we have a few areas where this is still wet and not sticking. So for the time being, I will just leave it like that and finish the folding. It's very little left to fold, but still I get moisture when I touch it, and finish this when it's dry. All right, I think that's enough folding for now. My plan now is to install the front fender and the gear tunnel door on the passenger side, and that concludes the passenger side, at least install wise. And then I'll turn the truck around so that I have the driver's side closer to me, so that my transfer path between the table and the actual panel is shorter. This would also allow me to debadge the trunk so that I can install the bottom piece that we kept for later. Before we begin this installation though, please notice that a lot of the Rivians have small paint protection film here at the fenders, and you will want to remove that. Just peel off. And again, reminder, this letter P means passenger side. Your alignment for this piece will begin here on top. Get your tack bottle and align these edges here. Let's check the rest of it. Now, the front fender is going to tuck under this plastic, so align it so that it can. And here at the bottom, I like to apply a little bit of Now for the next step of this installation, I will align here on this side and tack it. And again, we have a little bit of an issue with this particular Rivian because of the front bumper being dislocated. Verifying that I have enough not only to cover but to tuck under as well. Use some tack on the end and pull a little bit. Now let's tuck this in here so that it folds around right now. And squeegee well, because historically, at least for me, I would see a lot of bubbles that I missed here. So just tuck it in under and squeeze it. Okay, now we got a little bit of pressure here. I might need to peel off to redistribute that pressure. And instead I will tack here at the bottom now. Give it a little bit of a pull. And I'll just leave it to dry like this, and we'll finish it later. Before I proceed wrapping the gear tunnel door, I will check if I can fold this edge at least, so that when I spray here, I don't reintroduce moisture. And lucky for me, it is sticking. And for now, this will be enough. Maybe go a little bit further away from that door. Maybe see this edge. Perfect. Now I can spray here, and I'm not going to reintroduce moisture on these edges that I've been waiting to dry up. Yeah, as far as I know, this vehicle is used in off-roading, so the paint protection film is definitely going to keep that paint protected, but it already has quite some damage. This is a very easy panel actually. So let's open this up. I will begin by tacking the top corners. Let's align nicely. I'll remove some of the water so that it doesn't slide around that much. And the rest of the stuff should fall in place. Alright, this is ready to dry. So this is day 2 of the installation. I left the truck to dry overnight, and before I continue with the rear quarter and the tailgate and door handles, those will be the last pieces, I'll do some more edge folding. And just as a reminder, I will show you on the video with commentary how to fold each panel, but whenever I do it on the opposite side, it's the same panel just on the other side, I'll just time lapse it to keep that video a little bit shorter. So let's do the door of the gear tunnel. I'll score the edges again. This is pretty much a recurring theme when you're doing edge wrapping. And today it's not that hot as yesterday, so I'll use a little bit more heat gun. Now I'll start with this curve because that creates pressure, and I want to have the space to distribute it outside of the curve. And again, start at this corner so that we have space to distribute that pressure. And there are quite a few pressure relief cuts here to ease with the folding around this bottom corner, but still you probably get a lot of pressure. And if you don't want to have this visible pressure on the inside, you can always just trim a little bit. If the edges are refusing to stick somewhere, remember to use the primer. And that's pretty much how you do the gear tunnel. Now let's work on that tailgate. Again, I'll score the edge. And find an entry point for the edge tool so that you can go under the plastic trim and just tuck it in. I've got quite a few bubbles here. One option is to peel off, but it's difficult to access. The other obviously is the syringe, the diabetic needle. I'll try the needle. If it doesn't work, I will have to peel off. Well, luckily that worked. So now I'll just use my squeegee first, tuck it under this metal piece in between that and light bar. Then let's go with this tool. And now for the edges, I would need to pop the tailgate down, but make sure that it's not going to grab onto the quarter panel. So let's peel the quarter panel off. There you go. And the same on the other side. And that's it with the top piece. Now I think it's time I finish the edge folding of the big quarter panel. I'll start here, and I will start with my fingers. I will squeegee, but pressing really hard, but squeegeeing just a little bit. And it's important to go slowly here so you don't trap any air. The other benefit of doing this with your finger, like this, is that you're warming up the film by rubbing it, which makes it more conforming to this shape. Now, just like the tailgate, I'm gonna need an entry point for the edge tool. Let's first score the edge like this. And let's see if I can get under the plastic trim over here. Right. And now under this one. This one might actually be harder, but not impossible. So your entry under the rear plastic trim is from up here, and then you slide down. Again, the technique is I grab it, I pull to reduce pressure, and squeegee all the way to the edge. The bottom part is really easy here. And now for this part, I'm gonna need that heat gun. The top, in the other hand, like once you clear this curve here, the rest is much easier. For this, I'm just using the plastic squeegee on the soft side. Now, when you get to the header panel, given that I haven't folded the edges of the header panel yet, it will be time to fold these edges. So let me do this now. So I'll have to get access to it first. So I'll peel this off a little bit. And there is a pressure relief cut here in the end, so you will want to first fold one side and then the other. Again, as a reminder, because this part is without stretching, things might not fit exactly the way you want them to. So if that is the case, you can just use a utility knife to trim. Then there is the weather strip here above the windshield. So if the PPF is overlapping, you can use that technique to open the weather strip. Or alternatively, if you don't want to deal with that, you can just trim a little bit. That will also depend on the color of your R1T and the color of your wrap. If the two colors are very contrasting, for example, you're doing a dark wrap on a light colored R1T, you gotta be careful with the trimming, because if you trim more than you should have, the paint color will be visible. On the other hand, if you have let's say a black Rivian like this one, and actually whatever color you're doing on a black, it's very forgiving. Yeah, actually I think I'll just trim this because it's a lot of hassle to get it under this weather strip. So I'll go against the weather strip. And now it's still going to tuck under because I'm cutting over the weather strip. I'm not cutting over the paint. But see how much easier it was? That's because the PPF is not sticking onto the weather strip. Now that all the edges on this side are folded, it means I can install the rear quarter panel without making them wet again, without restarting my timer for drying. So I'll install this before I continue with other tasks. And I know I showed you the passenger side, but because I had to open the garage door and it was really hot, it didn't go as smoothly, so I'll show you this one again. Make sure to clean these edges here as well. All right, let's transfer. So begin at the large part here. So we start here and move along towards the front. Then I will want to get my alignment point, which is this corner. And I will want to tag this. Then let's see how the rest of it fits. We're looking good here for now. Make sure that these pressure relief cuts will not expose paint when folded. That gives you this horizontal alignment here. And then for the front, I'll do it a little bit differently this time. I will just tack it now. So for the front, you need to stretch. To eliminate the pressure, and for that reason you need to spray clean water so that it would tack. Then adjust the height. Oh, now I'm sorry, I have to tag this if I'm gonna stretch. I forgot that, my mistake, but it's not a problem. We'll tack it now. So now I have to stretch this way. I can use a little bit more PPF going that way. Hold on, let me just redo this part because I'm spinning in circles. And by the way, this could happen to you as well. This is the hardest piece of the install. But again, let that be a demonstration that you can make mistakes and you can fix them. Just so you know, professional installers, shops, they also make mistakes and they fix them. Okay, now we're perfect. Let's try to tag these fingers here. Okay, now that the easy part is done, let's do this. At this point, let's see, the film is not sliding so easily everywhere. So I'll need to reopen and spray, because for this part I need the film to be sliding around easily. Okay. And let's do this. So the first thing you want to do is adjust the height. Again, this will tuck under the plastic trim about 1 millimeter. And if somewhere you overlapped too much, it's not the end of the world. You can still probably tuck it in, or you can trim it. Either way works. Now I'll just verify that it's looking good everywhere else. And I'll squeeze it about halfway through the wheel. Now the next part would be stretching. This is, I cannot emphasize this enough. If you squeeze all the way to here, you have no more material left to stretch. So don't squeegee past the midpoint. Let's see, even that might be too much, but we basically need that part of the film to be staying stable, so we can stretch the other half this way. And the reason we stretch is to reduce the pressure around these curves. Otherwise, there is pretty much no way to handle that pressure. Now, when stretching, there are a few considerations. One is that you want this edge to go inside all the way to the end of the plastic. Sorry, this is not plastic, of the body of the car. And we'll begin with the upper piece. So the other consideration would be, notice these pressure relief cuts. The other consideration would be for these to go to the edge. It might take multiple stretches, let's see. So I want to tack at my end point, and let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. I'll need some more. I'll also spray a little bit, because during that process, if it takes some time, chances are the film will start sticking, and then I'll have tons of bubbles. Okay, let's try again. All right. Need to go a little bit lower here. Okay, the upper part is looking kind of okay now. I'll spray a little bit of tack here because the film wants to go down. I want to keep it up. Let's keep it overlapped with the plastic trim. At this point, I think the upper half is done. The film seems to be going inside here enough. And I'll do some more work here in a little bit. Now let's stretch the bottom. Same principle. Spray clean water at the end and stretch. Now notice that the film wants to go up again. We'll have a later stretch here. If you have a helper to help you just keep it down, that will be great. If you don't, we can just do it in several passes. So let's tack it here so that it stays. And now we'll tack it here after we pull down to eliminate these wrinkles. Let's squeegee this, make sure that we're clean of bubbles before we do some finishing touches. And the last tacking position will be here at the bottom. Now we want to reduce that pressure on the edge as much as possible. So I'll be pulling this way and down. I'm getting some pressure here and bubbles, so I'll just reopen and redo just the very end, respray it. When you're using clean water, it's very easy to get bubbles because it just makes the film stick so much that it traps water. But not to worry, you can just reopen, fix them, and redo it. Now I like to keep that part of the film open because of the folding that will follow once this dries up. So if this or this is going in, open it now, let it dry this way, and then we'll fold it when it's completely dry. Now let's see if we can improve the pressure here. Let's peel off a little bit. Again, even if you go out of bounds here with the pressure relief cuts and all that, and you're getting too much overlap, don't worry about it. This is to be expected for this particular panel because, as you can see, there is a lot of stretching involved and it's unpredictable. Like every time you install it, it's gonna be different. So for this panel, we might need to make some extra cuts wherever necessary. Now let's get some of this water out. Now let's work on making this a little bit better. If you remember from the other side, the key here was to have access on the bottom. Actually, on this one we don't have access on the bottom. Let's see what happens then. So I'll spray clean water and just push it out. But given that the bottom is already sticking too well, be extra careful to not let too much water stay in here. I'm just trying to get that water away. Oh, this actually worked a lot better on this side than the other side. And again, this is the variability of results when you're installing. Like every time it's gonna be a little bit different. So don't be afraid of that. Just remember how to fix the issues. Now I got some large bubble trapped here and some smaller ones trapped here. Let me see if I can merge them at least. On a panel this big, I'll probably have more than one bubble to take care of with the needle after it dries up. But still, like anything super obvious, I would remove right now. Alright, and now we just let it dry. Next up, this should be dry. This is the passenger side. I just installed the driver side. Let's try to fold these edges. I'll begin here on the top. And for this part, hot or not, you're gonna need a heat gun. Let's see how far can we go here. So I'll first push it all the way to the edge. And then I'll tuck it under the plastic trim. Okay. Now let's work on the bottom part. Again, if you're gonna get a wrinkle, peel off some more, give it space to distribute that pressure around it. Alright, now to the tricky parts around these tail lights. I will peel off a little bit. I want the pressure of this fold to go somewhere. And then I will squeegee at the fold. And then you can squeegee the rest. Peel off from the tail light so that you don't tear the PPF as you insert. So I overdid it a little bit with the stretching here, so it's a bit trickier to insert in there, and I might need to trim it because I just have too much material. Oh well, I actually got lucky here, no need to trim. Then same principle here. If it's sticking to the tail light, you gotta peel this off. And then we'll squeegee here at the fold. These curves I like to do with fingers. And notice that when you insert the edge tool, it goes in. I mean, there is a little bit of a wiggle room between these panels, so you can tuck everything nicely. And I have more than one bubble. I'll just take care of those a little bit later with the needle. Now let's get a nice clean edge here. And by the way, depending on what color wrap you're doing and what's the color of your Rivian, you may decide to just trim this on the inside and not deal with the pressure. And the same principle would be here. Now let's finish the bottom. Okay, this for some reason is really tight. I don't want to disassemble it, so I'll just trim. And that's it with the quarter panel. So this is the last big piece. After that we can do the door handles or skip, up to you. Some people prefer to have the same color on the handles, some people prefer different. I've already debadged this, cleaned it with IPA after that, and now let's just clean one more time. And now let's position. And the upper part, I hope that's visible, is the one with these two pressure relief cuts. Because the tailgate is also curvy, we'll do a little stretch. And whenever we do stretching, we need to tack on one side. Now you align by the bottom of these two pressure relief cuts, matching this curve. And then make sure the other side is, the bottom side is also aligned. Now let's just do the stretch now, and we'll do adjustments after that. Lift this up so it goes under here. This is a very easy piece to install. And notice that here the tail light, if you can spray it with clean water and then just fold it right now, that's great. If it doesn't want to go, that's also okay. We can just push it once it's dry. But I believe this is also done. And now I'll open the tailgate, okay, to let both sides dry up. Because we also want this to dry up. Now let's just wait and finish these when they dry. Now let's fold the edges here, the fenders. The charge port actually started opening a bit prematurely. And I still have some work to finish at the charge port. So this one will be very hard to show because the charge port is hiding it, but basically I'll just squeeze it all the way to the edge and then just push it to fold it. It's a really simple fold. And on the opposite side, on the passenger side, this is supposed to reach to the edge, but since it doesn't have where to go, you will use the yellow edge tool to just stick it in. And if you have excess, then you just need to trim it. Now let's use the occasion to fix that charge port, which was still wet the last time I tried, but not anymore. Let's see if we can get away with closing this. Okay. Now let's tuck in. There you go. Now for the top, if you remember when I was installing, I told you for some reason the top always wants to retain water. This is no exception, as much as you squeegee, so I'll just take it out with the needle. And these are just some tiny spots. I don't even need to extract it, just poke it and it's out. Now let's tuck this under the hood. and make sure it's tucked under the hood all the way to the end. And then I'll go do the same on the other side so I can open the hood and fold this edge. Now this is a very simple fold. You just need the hood to be open. Just like that. And here at the end, because this is a sharp edge, I'll use the primer approach. Opening a new one of these, they evaporate really quickly. So apply primer on the PPF, apply primer on the paint and on the inside. Let it dry for a second. Heat up. And then gently pull, not much. You don't want to rip this. And fold. Now let's work on these. Now there is a weather strip here, so once you score the edge, you have to tuck in under the weather strip. Then this edge is easy. I'll just score the entire length. Warm up at this curve and fold the curve first. And if you keep the front door open, it's easy to get your fingers in there so you can fold this edge. Let's tuck in and then fold the last edge here at the bottom. And for this one being more aggressive fold, there is a pressure relief cut to make it easier. Now I have a few bubbles that I see that I'll fix. Yeah, I think it's looking pretty perfect. I'll go do it on the other side. So I'm nearing the end of this installation. Let me show you what to do with the tailgate, the bottom piece. So this area, you pretty much just need to squeegee that in. Then run your plastic squeegee here. Run it on the bottom. And the bottom edge I'll fold once I open the tailgate. And then you have this piece over here for which you need the edge tool. And a heat gun. And the rest of the edge is really easy. The bottom, you just need to get in there. It's a hard angle to show, but you can imagine how this folds. Let's show this side as well, which I left without pushing inwards. So I'll peel off from the tail lights. There you go. And now I'll push with the squeegee as far as it would go, and the rest I'll push with the yellow edge tool. And I have a large bubble here. And that's pretty much it with the tailgate. And the very last thing I want to show you, this is pretty much the only component not yet installed, is the door handles. And even though this is paint protection film, which is supposed to be installed wet, this is a small surface. And let me show you a way to install them dry. So the door handle will wrap around a little bit on all sides. So you want to position it kind of in the center of the cutouts, and then let's make it stick on one side, and then we'll use this technique to slowly apply. This way we're not trapping air, and this way, because I'm doing this dry, I can fold the edges right away. And if you do trap air, just go back and redo it. I actually see that I'm going a little bit down, so I'll redo. And the door handles should be installed on a locked vehicle so that the door handles are flush with the body. Then when you're done with this, open it and let's fold the edges. Let's close it again so we can finish this. Got a little crease here, so I'll just use this tool to reopen this. And by the way, we give you multiple cutouts, more than 4, so you have room for error. But I should also mention that if you need replacements of anything, just shoot us an email and we'll help you. And that's how you do the door handles. Well folks, that's a wrap. Let me show you the end result. It took me about 12 hours in total, spread over 2 days. And now I'll just let it bake in the sun, and I'll re-inspect, make sure that nothing is lifting up and that the car is good to go. After that, after a few days of curing under the sun, you can use car washes and everything. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask. We're more than happy to help. Notice that we have over 300 cars that you can choose from. And this is again paint protection film. It protects your paint. And this uses our proprietary cut pattern that makes it rather easy to install yourself. Thank you for watching.